All right, would you like to join and join and with me to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it is the end of the school year. Thank you. We're just waiting for a quorum, so we open at 6:07. First thing we have on our agenda is approval of minutes, public and non-public, from May 28th. I entertain a motion to approve those.
Make a motion that we approve minutes, public and non-public, of May 28th.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Vicky seconds. Any comments on this? Kathleen was not there, so got that. I didn't see anything jumped out at me. Vicky, did you see anything that was like, that didn't happen?
No.
No? All right, good. Okie doke. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, public and non-public, of May 28th, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions?
Me.
And Kathleen abstains. All right, up next on our agenda, we have public comment. Do we have any public comment at this time? All right, seeing none, we will remain public comment open for 30 minutes as per state law. First thing we have on our agenda is our student representatives report. Sophia, take it away.
All right, so this is our last meeting. Yay!
Yay!
Fine, anyway.
You made it.
Yay! So some senior stuff, some updates. We have 82 graduates this year. Yay!
Congratulations.
We've all obviously received our cap and gowns. We've done a couple events together to kind of make these last weeks memorable. So last Friday we did a senior sunset. We painted our parking spots. This great chalk is gone now. We watched the sunset, ate some burgers and hot dogs, and we watched the movie Cars. And then we had scholarship this past Sunday. Saw some of you. And there was over $110,000 awarded to all the graduates. So that's just fantastic. And I'm proud to say I received numerous scholarships, and I'm really thankful for our community and everything. Everyone who gives so much here. And then our senior class trip, as we've discussed, will be tomorrow night, and then we come back together Thursday morning for the entirety of the day. And then the following day is graduation. We're starting our morning at the community building to have some breakfast, and then we go through all the schools, do all of our walkthroughs, and then do some marching practice. Perfect. And then we'll come back and graduate. And then we have Project Grad all night. And I'm very excited for that. I think we put a lot into it this year. It should be good. And then our graduation guest speaker this year is Miss Westgate. She was a teacher at IRS who was one of their last COVID teachers, from what I've heard. I wasn't there, but everyone loves her. And we're very welcoming, happy. And then I just wanted to say thank you all for welcoming me and working with me as I learn the ropes, and valuing my opinions and ideas and asking questions. I'm very thankful for everybody here and Mascoma as a whole. And then just a couple other random things. For our next year's wellness fair, plans are well underway. We just had our fall information sports night. And I believe tonight is the last awards night for track. And that should wrap all of spring sports up. And then tomorrow we'll have fourth quarter awards, the end of year awards, yearbook dedications, and the senior book awards tomorrow morning. And then I believe that the underclassmen of student council are working on grabbing the reins and planning a field day for our last day of school, because me and Lydia can't do everything anymore.
That's right, you and Lydia are gone, that's right.
Unfortunately. And then on the June 13th, they're also holding a club fair. And this year it's in combination with the 8th grade step-up day, so the freshmen get the opportunity to look at the drama, the sports, all the clubs, etc. And then new student orientation is August 22nd in the morning.
All right. Any questions for Sophia? Any other comments?
Where's project graduation going to be held?
It's here this year, yeah.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
And I heard correctly, if I hear correctly, you went to Norwich University?
yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy to get
Thank
into,
you.
and it's not easy to stay in either.
No,
You know, like,
Right.
they got a lot of hills you're going to be going
Yeah.
up and down.
Yeah.
So, but congratulations to you on all your achievements.
Thank you very much.
And just on behalf of the school board, we have a small token of our appreciation for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, it's been a real pleasure having you here with us for the last 2 years. And we've been really enjoyed seeing you grow and kind of see you, you know, mature into this role. And, you know, I really appreciate your dedication to this class, because the amount, like, my daughter's in class with you, and so the amount of time she's like, me and Sophia got to do this for the class, and Sophia's got to do this, and you know, you were always right there, and really a lot of class spirit. So I really thank you for that, and best of luck on all your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Cool. All right. Anything else? Any other parting words? The floor was yours. Okay.
Hopefully you find someone that'll take my spot.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
We'll never know, really, though.
Yes, we will.
Miss Fleming will
We'll
find
see.
somebody.
We have to have an election. We'll
You'll
be
find
there.
somebody.
They will not be like you, though. There's a one and only
Well,
Sophia.
What would be great is to have, you know, if you have any feedback for us on things that we could do, if there's information that you think that would have been nice to have that you weren't provided with, or you had to ask for, so that we can have that up front for whoever's next. But because you've been in this role and been doing this for a little while, it would be it'd be great to have your feedback.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I think I've grown into it a lot and understood my responsibilities a little bit more. I was definitely a little unclear exactly what I was signing up for at first. Nobody's fault. So maybe just the clear boundary of, you know, presenting at the meetings, bringing forward things, and definitely like involvement, like little, like making their presence more known in the school, so that they can come forward to you when anything's needed. If that makes sense.
Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And anything else you think of in the next couple of days,
Yeah.
go ahead, email Ms. Fleming, she'll pass it on to us.
What do you mean? She's just
Thank-
going to stop in.
We're stopping.
I have plenty of time on my hands.
That's right. You got to do that. Well, thank you, Sophia. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Nice
Have a
job,
good
Sophia.
night. All right, up next on our agenda, we have Wellness Committee minutes. Danielle, you want to talk about those?
Sure.
All right.
Got the draft in your packet. You'll notice that there is a copy of the YRBS presentation that Hillary also did at our last school board meeting. That was probably the bulk of the meeting that we had for the Wellness Committee. Hillary also had shared some materials that we could bring back to the different schools and share out. A reminder that there are several free opportunities for professional development or for families and community members who are interested in things like mental health first aid and other sorts of really important types of presentations. And there's some updates about the food pantry and the number of food boxes. I think that we've talked about them before. June boxes, I think this week are going out to families. And we had a little bit of an update about composting. We talked about this at our retreat, but that may be something that we'll also get updates from during finance facilities or something of that sort. And we did talk about the food service program and the number of meals with breakfast and lunches compared to last year. And there, at the time of this meeting, the negative balance, food balance district-wide was $12,498 and a penny. So this particular committee will meet again in September.
Any questions for Danielle on that? I have one question, and that is based on our previous experience with things that love to live behind the schools. How bear-proof is that compost pile?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I also have no idea.
I remember
I didn't
like a lot
ask
of
that
concerns about when we had bears get into the IRS dumpster. Mr. Toll could attest.
Yeah, probably as secure as the dumpsters are.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
my
as long as
guess.
that's taken into account, you know, there are ways to make compost piles bear-proof. I just want them to be aware of that, that's all.
Electric fence works.
Yeah, electric fence works great, so keeps kids out too.
Yeah. It is at least not exactly near
Yeah,
the dumpster, so I
Yeah.
think that maybe will help
We'll see.
if it's on the Sugar Shack garage side as opposed to the dumpster side.
well,
Of that little,
if they've seen
Parking
bear
area.
claws on the sugar shack, they'll know.
they'll
so.
know.
Is the stuff in a container,
I don't know.
or is
I have
it
no
just?
idea. I
I'll
don't
go
know
look when I
what
go
it's
look
like.
go to
Sim
our
has been taking kids out. Sim has been managing that a couple different times a week,
Good.
managing that compost situation.
I'm not. I just want to be. I just want them to be aware that there are bears that get up there.
Oh, no, I know. I was at IRS and we had the bear.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right.
I'll meet you on the way to your car.
Yeah. My other question, it says district wide negative food balance. That is not the deficit we run on food service. That is the amount of overage from lunches that are not paid for.
That is correct.
Gotcha. All right. And the majority of those, as we have said in finance facilities, they tend to be at the middle and high schools,
Correct.
pretty much. All right.
And there are automated messages that go out. There are letters that go out. So there's definitely communication at the building level to families.
Mhm.
And as we all know, there's also the online portal where you can set up getting your notifications as well.
Not to interrupt, but
You're,
Tim, you had mentioned that you were letting your daughters go up
Yeah.
to see how far they actually allow you to go. How
Yeah.
far did you go?
she's at $35 negative right now, and they still let her buy. You know, she makes a lunch. That's the thing. Like she gets a full lunch with a piece of fruit and this, that, and the other thing. So you know, I'll pay it this week, obviously, because I
Right.
want her to graduate. Because, you know, but I was curious, what kind of notifications do you get when you go negative? And so I get an automated email on Fridays that says your balance is negative, please pay. And that's it. That's all I've gotten so far. It's just a very automatic email. And so, like, that's something for small amounts. I'm not going to push it to $100 plus to see what happens.
You'll
to see
get
if-
multiple letters from me at that
See,
point.
there you go. So there we go. But yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, Cynthia does phone calls though.
And then it elevates to Cynthia doing phone calls. We did discuss at finance facility, is there a way to share, like, so that a family might know, like, what one kid in one building is racked up and another kid is racked up, you know, cumulatively, both those kids rack up like $150, all of a sudden that's a $300 bill. That's harder for a family, you know, so if
Yeah,
there's
that's
a
why
way
we
to
call
coordinate.
Cynthia, so
Yeah.
that she has that district-wide lens.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking at different families and helping them out, helping them fill out the applications or whatever that support she can give as the social worker.
Yeah, yeah, it's always important to fill those out,
Yep.
so. All right, anything else on wellness? Okay, communications, that's you again.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. You'll also see some brief draft minutes from the meeting, because that's what we like to do. Let's see, we talked about the website. This was of the meeting on June 4th. We talked about, kind of done some great research as far as what other schools were using for CMS platform, content management system platforms, so that we could look at the next iteration of what our digital front door would look like for the district, as well as the type of information that we're looking at within analytics to see not just what people might tell us they want on their on the website and how to access it, what are their priorities, but what are the behaviors telling us? So what are they actually clicking, so that we can make sure to elevate the things that people are actually looking for the most. Again, trying to make it easy for people. So look for more information to come from the committee, as well as a likely placeholder item within the next budget cycle for updating the district website.
Cool.
The sign outside is still alive and kicking, but it is at the end of its functional life. So we have information on how to address that when it happens, but we're not moving forward at this point in making any purchases to switch any of that stuff out really until it kind of dies. So we'll continue to have updates about it, but so we should know that it is sometime in the near-ish future going to be something we're going to have to look at. We spent a little bit of time looking at strategic plan and our committee goals in preparation for the retreat that we had over the weekend, and we will meet again in August.
All right. Any questions on that? Okay, communications. All right, up next we got finance and facilities. I'll just read through these here. So Matt and Dan were there to give us a update as to what was going on in the buildings. Getting ready, Matt said we're getting ready for summer projects. They're doing a floor replacement EVS with some no wax tiles, so we won't have to be waxing the floors with that toxic wax, and then try to figure out how to get rid of that. So that'll be good. Roofing projects are moving forward on the elementary schools. We have a full docket of student workers we're going to approve later in this meeting, and he's doing it a little differently. Well, he's going to have a team in each building, and they'll work together as a team. Talking about a new set of stairs for roof access here, and then other, good old cleaning, wiping, just regular old summer maintenance, getting that stuff done. Talked about the encumbrance list, which which has been in your packet, and we will do that at the end of this. One thing I suggested was video security at the SAU office. It has none, so perhaps we can do that through some sort of funding. Talking about ESSER funds for the school's air quality. And so, as you may know, we've been trying to get the HVAC systems up and running, or in better operations or running period, at both elementary schools. The conundrum has been that we put it out to bid 3 times. The first 2 times we had no bids. The third time we have Johnson Control bid, and they said they could only do part of 1 school. And so the issue is that we have to have these projects need to be completed by the end of September. And the state is not really seeming to give us any flexibility. The problem is that we have another bidder, hopefully, that is lined up to go for our 4th round of bidding. And they have said, we will bid and we can do this, but we cannot commit to finishing by the end of September. That's ridiculous. So what I have here, and you see in front of you, I drafted up a small letter, quick letter that we would like to send to our Senator, Senator Shaheen and Hassan, Representative Custer, as well as Executive Councilor Cindy Warmington, asking for assistance in trying to get these funds, like a late, what did I call it? Late liquidation. There is a process for late liquidation where you can access the money after September, but there's a bunch of hoops to jump through, and they will not tell you ahead of time if you are going to be able to get that late liquidation. So, I've had that experience with different departments of the state, very similarly, like, we can't get this done in time, and they're like, no, you get an extension, can I have it now? No. So, just read through this letter, basically just saying we worked really hard to identify and complete projects using ESSER funds. We've worked within state guidelines to complete these tasks. Unfortunately, vendor difficulties have caused us to, be stuck. And then kind of explaining the problem. The only thing I left out was we just found out that vendor was able to, just found out today or yesterday? This afternoon, that one vendor can do half of 1 school, and it's a partial project, and it's like replacing the units, or it's putting the units on top, but not wiring them or anything like that.
Well, they'll be wired.
They'll be wired, yeah.
It'll just be provide and install 15 ventilators at Canaan, but only in the warehouse part of the building, the front part of the building.
Okay.
So that would cover that. The proposal is for $505,667, which the whole building was going to be closer to $800,000 or $900,000.
Okay.
So if we can do this out of this money and get this in before September 30th, which I think we can.
That part we definitely
can. It's our 6 to 8 week lead time. So if we get go ahead tomorrow,
okay,
we'll get those and get them installed, and then we'll just have to do the other part of the project out of CIP at another time. And then we talked about Enfield.
Mm-hmm.
And actually doing individual units in there, but that would need to come out of CIP too, because that would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we could use these ESSER funds to buy the nicer individual air units like we have right now, but bigger models.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do that until we can actually get the HVAC project.
So you still want us to send a letter asking for help with the late liquidation. And so we'll do that, because even the other half of Canaan and all of Enfield still needs to be done. And if we can have an extension on the actual work, getting the actual work done, that will be done with the project, right?
Right.
But worst comes to worst, if we don't get that, we can do something kind of similar with Enfield and buy some of the
Right.
pieces, right? Buy some of the units.
Right, that was one of the questions I asked the state, is can we just buy all the units we need and then install them as we're able?
Yeah.
And they said, no, they have to be installed, because what? I can't believe we would do this, we wouldn't do this, but other
Right.
companies have bought all these units and then never installed them.
Yeah, yeah.
And just to use the money, we don't wanna just use the money, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to
But we
have
do wanna use the
1.6 million.
Yeah, we wanna use the money towards what we said we wanted to use it for, but we're
Right.
just not, we can't go up there and install them ourselves,
When we
so.
can't find people to do it.
Right, and it is because of where we're located.
Yeah.
Because all these big companies are in the southern part of the state, and you just can't get here from there.
They can't give them the time of day, you know, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know if you wanna just approve the go-ahead on this. I mean, it'll be all funded by grant money, assuming everything is in place.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to say about the late liquidation is late liquidation goes through 2026.
Yeah.
If you can get them to approve it.
Yeah,
But the intent has to be to complete it by September
right.
30th, which that is our intent. I would swear to that. That's
Ask
our
me, I'd
intent,
love
to
it.
get it
Yeah.
done by September 30th.
I'd love to have it done by
We would
September.
still file for late liquidation regardless.
Right.
Just would.
All right, so up first, I guess I'd like approval from the board that we can send this letter on our board's, that I can send this letter on our behalf. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
Motion that we approve Tim Josephson as chair to sign and to approve the late liquidation letter to Senator Shaheen's office on behalf of the district for the ESSER funds.
Okay. And Vicky seconds, and not just for clarification, not just that, both senators, Representative Custer,
Okay.
and Executive Counselor Warmington, so. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions, all right, so that's set, that letter will go out, and, okay, so now you are looking for, wait, are you looking for approval now for the required project?
I think because it's such a big dollar amount, I think we should.
Yeah,
We
where-
can talk about this a little bit in my report later on.
Okay.
Contingencies, if everything doesn't work out like we want it to, but, yeah, I would like board approval before I sign this.
Okay, so this is board approval for the Johnson Controls to do half of Canaan, right, HVAC system?
Yeah,
Okay,
so 15 units, which will leave 7 in the back section.
okay,
So it's
all right,
15.
so entertain a motion for that. We don't have a copy
You
of
don't
the
have a
contract,
copy,
no.
this just came in this afternoon.
All right.
Okay.
The amount is, what, 505?
Yeah, $505,667.26.
Johnson Controls for 15 HVAC units on CES, and this is 100% ESSER funds.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Okay, and second?
I'll second.
Kathleen, second. All right, just further discussion on that? Okay, so that will be, all right, so all those in favor of approving that contract of $505,667 to be paid for with ESSER funds for Johnson Controls for 15 HVAC units on Canaan Elementary, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? That's all set. All right, and would you like us to do encumbrances now or after your report?
I think you can do the encumbrances now.
Okay.
For the financial facilities.
Alright, so in your packet, you have a list of the encumbrance list, and so this is what we would like to withhold from unencumbered fund balance to cover a few things around the district that need to get done. You will see on here, we have one we've already approved. That was for Groponi Ford for a 12-passenger van. We approved that last year. The lead time on 12-passenger vans is so long that we are still waiting for it. So we still have to roll that over and do that again. The next one is a gym divider for IRS, and that will allow them to have lunch and gym at the same time, correct? It'll be replacing the one that's there. Some ball fields upkeep, both here on the IRS field and the baseball field here at the high school. Some paving at IRS, some roofing points. This is at EVS, and these are some small little points that kind of are weird little spots, and so we're going to get those taken care of. Some flooring in EVS, that was that no wax floor they were talking about, and then another 12-passenger van, because 2 is better than 1, and we use that for all of our smaller sports teams, and even one larger sports team can take 2 vans together and alleviate our busing. And then another one for a scissor lift, basically to get up to the real high parts of all of our buildings, or mostly around here. A lot safer than a ladder, so.
That was just a rental though, right? For the
No,
city?
that was buying it outright.
It was buying it?
Yes, it's
Oh,
fine,
okay.
Kathleen.
Yeah,
Buying them.
I'd much rather buy it.
Oh, fine, yes.
Okay.
BNID is really good at procuring stuff.
I have found out, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was, I should say also back, he found, we can talk about that more, but he did find a cool new app to talk about that. So, all right, encumbrances. Any questions on any of the encumbrances? They are totaling $150,517.
Make wish that we approve the encumbrance list of, as noted, $150,517.
Okay.
A second.
And Kathleen, second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. Getting back to, we got distracted with all that ESSER fund stuff. Back to finance facilities. CIP will have $375,000 transferred into the trust fund in July as approved by voters. Audit confirmation letters, you will get those in the mail. You're the ones you normally get as a school board member saying there's no shady stuff here, right? And you say yes. And then budget, talking about budget, we're going to get ready for that getting in the fall. Contracted services, cafe services. We have bids that have gone out, and we'll be reviewing them tonight. We'll talk more in depth a bit later about that. Okay, and then transportation. Routes will be created once the information gets transferred from Alma to TransFinder, which is the bus routing software. We talked a bit about running the routes before school starts to make sure all the stops are necessary and they make sense. Dan Kiley was there, and he did bring up a nice point that some routes may be different in summer versus winter versus like how much road access you can get. You can walk down the road in the summer easily, but not in the winter. In talking about walking distance of EVS, walking to school. Driver's Ed, talking about Smart driving school, and we'll have probably updates at our next meeting on that. We signed some manifests. We talked about the sustainability report, as well as getting the additional energy prize that came with that grant. Talked a little bit about the high school, the kitchen in the high school, the kitchen in the cafeteria, the lighting in there need to be replaced, so Matt is on that. Then also talked about our goals, and Dan found a new program called Limble to do his work orders and inventory management pricing, and then now Matt's going to start using it as well to do work orders and custodial needs. So it seems like a very nice streamlined method, and we'll see how it works, but he really liked it, so that's good to hear. Any other questions on finance facilities? All right. Up next, Amanda, Superintendent Report.
So you do have my written report in your packet. Just outlining a few of the events happening this week. It's a very, very busy week here in the district. Some events I do leave off as they're not open to the public, and I don't need random people showing up at some of our events. So those are purposefully left off, but we are celebrating all of our oldest grades at each school as they move on to the next chapter. Wishing the best to people leaving us, and welcoming our new teachers. You'll see we have quite a list of hiring
All right.
to get approved this evening. Very exciting. We're finding some great candidates, even this late in the game. So I do feel that the hiring has changed. I finally feel like it's swinging back to where there are teachers available for us to hire. So that's very encouraging. Best of luck to our seniors and our retirees, and we hope they come back as substitutes. That's our retirees, maybe some of our seniors too. And if people were interested in any job openings here, they should get in contact with building principals as soon as possible, as positions are filling up very quickly. I am thinking that we are going to be full on paras within the next week or so. So,
Wow.
right?
That's
That is
something
awesome. Before
you
July
know,
1st? Wow,
could
wow,
be a
wow.
first for me.
That would be awesome.
So, if people are interested in jobs, they need to get in touch with people soon. So,
All right. Any questions for Amanda? I just want to thank you for the retirement ceremony last week. That was very nice. Your words were very nice. How many years combined did you say? Over
222.
over 200. It was 222 years combined experience that we're losing with those teachers retiring. So
Most of them Linda Landry.
most of them are, yeah.
Have come Linda Landry.
That's right. But you add it up, and it is a wealth of knowledge. And so to see them go on, see how much they're dedicated to our students is always phenomenal. So. All right, up next we have Business Administrator's Report. Financials are in your packet. What else you got?
So, you have my written report, that went into the packet yesterday. It was very difficult to estimate how much money we're gonna have left at year end this early in the month. It's
Yeah.
usually later in the month. So, it's a conservative estimate, but as we close out purchase orders that don't happen, more money goes in the unassigned fund balance. So I suspect it will be more than my estimate, but I didn't want to overestimate it.
Not good.
So, on the balance sheet, all the things that are designated, like that 500,000 that you retained last year under the 5% rule, that is sitting there, and it continues to sit there unless we go upside down, and we haven't.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at the 1,225,000 that's remaining after that 500,000, that's just 4% of the budget, which if you think about your own budget, we talked about this before, it looks like a big number, but it's not out of $32 million.
Right.
So there's 375,000 that will go off to the capital reserve funds as voted by the voters. The project list that you just approved is 150,517. So if I take all those out, I think if we stayed with the 500,000 retained, we would be returning, where's my number? We'd be returning 700,000 to credit taxes for next year. However, I'd like to request that we retain $650,000. If we actually retained 5%, which we could legally, the school board could vote to do that, that would be $1,144,000, which I wouldn't retain that amount. But I think we do have a decent amount in the special ed capital reserve for placements, but if we had two big placements, that I think the balance is 692 right now, and we'll send another 50. So that's a good cushion, so that we can budget for what we actually have. But I think thinking about potential placements of kids we know have moved in since we budgeted for next year, and also anything that could possibly happen with anything, but with the HVAC project,
Oh, yeah.
I would feel better if we had another 150 sitting in there. So, I've shared this before, I have the tax rates for the last 20 years.
Yep.
And how much we return to the towns each year. So the last couple of years have been big, but historically we were doing like 453,000, 484,000.
Yeah.
So $500,000 to return is
More in the
500 or
ballpark.
600 is good, and it really does help offset taxes, I think. So,
So are you looking for approval of 650,000 retention under the 5% rule? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for that.
And we're going to retain $650,000 as suggested and discussed.
Okay,
I'll second.
whichever one of you can, I heard, sure. All right, so this is for retaining $650,000 under what we can retain up to 5% of our budget, so that is way less than 5%. All right, any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of the approval of retaining $650,000 under the 5% rule signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstentions. All right, that's all set.
and then one other thing, I know these are later on the agenda, but I did want to just make a couple comments about the lunch prices, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I do recommend increasing the lunch prices by 25 cents, which would get us to the amount that they should have been last year based on the price lunch equity tool, which is the New Hampshire Bureau of Nutrition's requirement for our food service application every year that we have to do this. And then increasing breakfasts by 10 cents and then the adult meals to at least match Lebanon.
Yep.
I would recommend $5 for lunch and $3.50 for breakfast for adult. So we're really low on the adult meals.
That's still a steal.
And it is. You can't, somebody told me you can't go to Ziggy's and get a slice of pizza and
Nope.
a drink for less than $7.
That's right. That's right. All right, we'll discuss. Yeah, we'll talk about food prices of lunch rates later down below. All right. Anything else, Deb?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions for Deb? Anything? All right. Table our school board photo till the fall at least, probably. All right. We're all here for quarterly reports. Who would like to go first?
Oh, I'll go first. We're gonna go in reverse order.
Oh, that's very nice of you
Gets to
all.
go first, but
All right.
I'm just gonna borrow. I forgot to print it, so I have it.
So we have
on my phone.
We have it on
Ah,
here.
perfect.
We have copies. We have, yeah.
So, update for the goals for next year, continuing to work on the reading and math curriculum. CES is implementing a win block, so another way to improve student supports and work on improving their reading scores. I have the behavioral data for you there. You'll see the triangle, that's my favorite one, because the majority of that triangle is green, and that's what you want to see. Out of 240 students, we had 160 students with 0 referrals. So, well, 66 and 2/3% not getting written up, which is great. I don't have data to compare it to from last year because they were using Redditor. So, and then the averages per month. You'll notice February is a short month with a vacation in there, so that one looks higher. We expect to see that. And then September is the next highest. Again, we expect to see that because kids are coming back to school. They're learning the routines. They're not quite sure, the expected behavior at that point. End of the year celebrations. We've sent all of our students off to their end of the year field trips. They come back and they're super excited. They talk all about it. I included the pictures of the 4th grade field trip to the State House. And then we retired Linda Landry. She told me that I'm the 15th principal she's had. And I'm the only one who gets to do something that nobody else did, which is retire her.
That's right.
And so this school purchased her a Linda Landry learning bell. It got mounted thanks to Matt. I said, hey, we have a bell. I need you to come mount it or tell me where we can mount it.
Yeah.
And he came and he was like, the original spot's not going to work. How about right here? And he was like, let's get it done. Linda happened to be on a field trip the day it got mounted.
Perfect.
So she saw it and rang it when she came back.
Aww.
It is so loud, so I apologize to the people on School Street. But it is loud. So it's very exciting. The 4th graders are pretty excited to ring it on their way out the last day. So
That's nice.
That's a great new tradition.
Very
I love
nice
it.
looking.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
very
that
nice.
was a great idea. I would love to take it as mine, but it was definitely a combination of a couple of teachers.
That's awesome.
And they ran with it. So.
Awesome. Any questions for April? Thank you. Thank you for all your work there at CES this year. All right. Who wants to go next? Mr. Soul, take it away.
Okay, so, acknowledgements, Carter Goodness and Odessa Courier are the Nelms Distinguished Student recipients. That used to be a wonderful banquet down in Concord, Manchester, and COVID killed that. So now they sent me the plaques and we decide what we're going to do. So I will be presenting their plaques to them at graduation, and there is a slideshow that Nelms put together. We will put that on where it shows Indian River School and our 2 recipients. So I'm hopefully bringing the banquet back. Mr. Kilton and Mr. Limro went and did the invites to CES and EBS, and we had parents in last night, had good attendance, good questions, good feel for it. We're going to celebrate graduation for 8th grade Thursday night at 6 o'clock in the auditorium. Professional training continues to go on for next year's schedule, next year's initiatives. We never stop. Challenges is finding staff. we need 2 special education case managers. I get that, I'll die and gone to heaven. And our focus is to maintain the quality education that we provide and have provided the last few years. That's my report.
Awesome. Any questions, Kevin? Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, who wants to go next? Chris? All right, go for it.
I'll piggyback right on that.
All right.
Because I have a field trip.
Biggest challenge is getting these special ed positions filled for next year. We are not full-blown panic yet, but
Really?
I am. I know you are, but I've got a couple of candidates. We may have to look at, we're not getting candidates through the traditional pool, if you will, see it posting, apply for it. So we may have to go contracted services. We may even have to consider if things get really deep into the summer and we still don't have candidates, we may have to consider a virtual special educator who would do case management only. So they would be responsible for doing all the paperwork, writing the IEPs, sort of pushing all the papers around, which will free up our in-person special educators to be more student-faced. So we'll see how we do as we get deeper into the summer. So a couple of things as we wrap up this year. In my report, I did write, I had a comparison between 22, 23 caseloads and what caseloads are going to look like for next year. So for this year, EVS came out of the gate with 58 special ed kids, and then CES was 47. Looking at next year, the projected caseload numbers for EVS are 42, so they're going to be down a tick, and then the caseload numbers for CES will remain the same at 47, and that does include the specialized program ARC, which is over at CES too. So a couple things play into that, as always. We've had several families, I think, in EVS who are moving out, and then I think Jamie and a lot of folks on her staff this year have worked really hard to sort of build in a little bit more of MTSS, so tier 2, so getting kids more interventions early before they get to referral. So the win block has been, so I think a lot of the part of that has been, we have prevented some kids from getting into referral for special ed. So I think that my hope is that as the win block continues to get built out over the next couple of years, we'll see more fruits of that, especially as they relate to special ed numbers directly. We've already talked about the challenges of staffing. I gave an update in my report about where we are with out-of-district numbers. Our numbers remain pretty steady on that. We've had one kiddo who's had to go into residential for safety, and as Deb has said, that we're retaining a little bit more in case we end up having to go in that direction for somebody else as well. So, but all in all, hats off to all the special educators and parents and related services people who continue to work hard for our kids in our district.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Chris, and I second all that. Yeah, any questions for Chris? No, it's, sorry, go ahead.
Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's getting, it's getting harder because the kids are getting more complex.
Yeah. They got a lot going on.
That's what's happening is they're getting more complex.
Gotcha. I mean, it's good to see how you're able to, like, the caseload, like that early intervention and those tier 2 supports. That's good to see. So good trend.
How far do you have to go into the summer before you really end up doing?
Freak out.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
like
Yeah.
top level freak out and
Yeah,
really
great
go into
question.
like setting up those contracted services, knowing that the candidates aren't there for us to hire.
Not through
And
the
contracted
traditional-
services, it
not
trickles
just
down.
The traditional pool.
Yeah.
I've had Jeff McLean and I, the special ed coordinator, we've had 2 interviews for virtual case managers. We've had offers on both want to come. I haven't pulled the trigger on that quite yet. I want to, but I'm also hopeful that I get an in-person one, because that's what we really want.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of other in-person candidates that I'm gonna look at before the end of the week that the agency said they're gonna send over. But again, these are contracted services, which, again, they're not the traditional way. They wouldn't be our employees, they would be, so. So we'll give it a few more weeks, but I don't wanna let it go too long. I need to lock somebody up pretty quickly, so I at least have case management covered.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you, Chris. Who else go next?
Totally.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Go ahead. EVS, what's happening?
There's so many cool things happening at UVS. I just want to piggyback on what Chris said about our wind block. I know that the first year of implementation for any new initiative is truly just about building the structure, right? And you don't expect a huge change, but we are currently seeing our school psychologist has come to me with a couple of different cases where she has done her evaluations, and the kids that she's evaluating either don't qualify for a special education, or they do qualify, but they don't qualify with any of that early literacy, phonics, and phonemic awareness, which is what our focus has been. So we are seeing a shift way earlier than I had anticipated. I'm really looking forward to tightening that up, being more intentional about some of those things next year, and hopefully continuing that pendulum swing.
Whereas last year, they would have slid right into special ed.
I see, I got you.
So, if they can't decode a word, then they can't build their reading, and they can't, right? And it just continues to build, but that's where our focus has been. And so, by her coming to me and saying, hey, she just did 4 evaluations, 2 didn't qualify, and 2 qualified, but they didn't qualify for early literacy, that tells me that something we're doing is working.
Yeah.
So even though it's not necessarily showing in our academic data yet, it will, it's coming, and I'm really excited for that. We're really looking at improving our MTSSB process, our multi-tiered systems of supports. We're working with Tina as well as other building principals over the summer, and somebody, and I can't remember her name.
Molly White.
Molly White is coming to work with us to do some work sessions to really tighten up K-12 processes and what that's going to look like, and so we're excited for that. I was able to order regulated classroom co-regulating kits for every teacher for our classroom next year, and that's going to support our social emotional learning. It's essentially a program and a process that tells you that you can't help your students regulate if you're not regulated, and so it's about co-regulation. It comes with a guidebook, so it's going to teach teachers how to embed it into their morning meetings, and it won't be something new, it'll be something they already do with tools that are going to come to provide all of that. So we're jumping on that bandwagon too, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
I talked about wind block already, and we're going to be way more intentional about how quickly we move students, how long they're in wind block, and what groupings they're going to have, and what their instruction is going to look like. So we're going to tighten that up. I put my triangles, thanks to April for showing me what those triangles were. I knew how to get there, but I didn't actually get anyway. What's really cool about this is that we did use Swiss last year, so we have it for the 2 years, and we have increased our 0 or 1 referrals from 70% to 75%, and decreased those higher numbers from 11% to 7%. So we've done kind of both ends. And we've done that without behavior support, because that's a position I wasn't able to fill until about 3 weeks ago. So I filled that position, and hopefully we're going to be able to move forward and just make that better moving forward. Our end of year stuff has been great. Our students have been on all of their field trips. Our students were pictured at New Hampshire State House and put in the paper down there, and there's some really cool things that happened. They got to meet with Chris Sununu and do a whole bunch of stuff while they were there. It was very, very cool. They were very excited. This week, our first graders were the last field trip on yesterday, and they went to Billings Farm and had a great time. They had really good weather, so they're excited about that. We have, tomorrow is our field day. In the morning and in the afternoon, our 4th graders do their float parade. They have all researched the state, and they create these floats out of shoe boxes, and they walk around the building with their New Hampshire and whatever other states they've decided to research floats that they've created, and they just go through the whole school, and it's a really cool way to sort of close out the year. And then on Thursday, we'll do our step-up day, and then on Friday morning, we do our 4th grade celebration. Hopefully the rain holds, but I'm
Hope so.
not really super psyched about it right now. So.
Yeah, it's like every day I look, and it's Friday. It's sunny every day except Friday.
Yeah, and it's the thunderstorms that are coming. That's the
The one I don't want. Yeah,
Just
Tina's
like,
freaking out.
But we're doing it at 8:30. We should be done by 9. Hopefully the graduates will walk through their ceremony and be fine, and maybe we'll be this strong.
Hopefully we do. I was driving by this afternoon. Did I see they're putting a little free library up there?
We have, yes, one of my classroom teachers, Lauren Simpson, in 2nd grade, was able to do some connection and get some money and some grant money to put, and Holly West and company came, and the kids actually painted, they built the structure, the kids painted it, they put it in today, so it's up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool and exciting.
I just happened to drive by and I saw a whole crowd of kids out there all waiting to put books in it. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting.
They've been working on it for a couple weeks.
Very awesome. Any questions for Jamie? All right, thank you. All right, last but not least.
Oh, I got.
Oh, second last. Sorry.
Oh, crazy.
Sorry, Craig. Sorry, Craig.
So the high school is always a crazy place. This year, it was a great year for Sim and I. I mean, in our 2nd year, we celebrated, homecoming and the Future Opportunities Fair as part of Mascoma, college fairs, athletics, Grand State Challenge, National Honor Society. They went to the elementary school. Like, there are always dances, the prom. We do quarterly celebrations of awards. It's a busy place. I did not put in my report, but I do want to recognize all the efforts of the Torch Run, which was the Law Enforcement Special Olympics Torch Run. Pamela and Seth, they put together the drone video. We had more than 50 kids. The New Hampshire Special Olympics, they requested the drone footage and all of that footage to include for the National Special Olympics. So that video footage has been shared. It's a great event. Cortland puts that onto Enfield Police Department. They really are the leaders of that. We just are able to participate and loving it. There was so many police departments here from the region. So it was a great event for students to interact. They ended at Hughes Park. Everybody made the 2 miles, I believe. Only one, maybe had to take a break, but they all made it. So that was a great, that's just a great annual event. Athletics wrapped up. We cannot go without saying Georgia Condi. The banner was today, they were taking care of the banner. State champ, but then she also won meter champions at UNH. So she is the best shot putter in all divisions in the state of New Hampshire. And she's only a sophomore.
On yourself.
So Barney did great. Our track team is exceptional. We don't have the best of everything. We're trying, but we're on track. But they are so highly successful. They represent us so well. I was able to go to a couple of different meets of theirs, as well as our spring athletics. But really, it's such a large group of kids, and it's great. I thank all the coaches that lead that group of students. So this year for building goals, as we prepare for next year and the NEAS process, I looked at the building goals along the strategic plan of how we can really start to look at instructional practices in the classroom, really working through that NEAS lens. So we've added 2 building goals, one related to instructional practices. The other is related to overall health and wellness. Our theme next year is Pathways to Wellness. So a lot of our professional development, actually Hillary's meeting with me over the summer, so we can look at those professional development opportunities, as well as we look at the YRBS data overall for student health and wellness. So this year, along with the staff, we've looked at, how do we look at this holistic approach to wellness. So that is a building goal going into next year. All the other building goals have remained the same. We've just added 2. And then for behavior data, so this is the 2nd year for Swiss. IRS has used it for many years. I'm a Swiss facilitator, so Swiss is I like Swiss. So overall, the high school, we have seen a decline in behavior referrals from last year to this year. We really focus on certain areas like skipping class because we know the academic impact of that. But we can see every month we're going down. June data is not complete, clearly. Especially after this week. So that'll work it out, but we have seen a decline in the number of referrals. Swiss adjusts by the day, so say you have 28 days in a month, it adjusts automatically. We put the days in early in the year, so it doesn't look skewed just because you have a short month or vacation. Overall, you can still see, compared to last year, our skips have decreased substantially. That is something, a standard we've set. We chase kids on their consequences if you do skip. A lot of communication with families on that. But overall, you can see, you know, our behavior referrals are down for this year. I don't have my triangle chart.
It's okay, this is,
But I will say my triangle is not as smooth as pretty as theirs. I have a lot more students in the tier 2 section. I present behavior data every other staff meeting with the staff, so I'm very familiar with that. We discuss it. So it's really important, the stat for transparency, this is where we're at. And then they also know consequences or parent contact. So overall, I mean, that's a good thing. We do have MVRSD tier 1 in place. We are going to work on more of that, you know, across the district at the universal level tier 1 and honing in on our tier 2 and tier 3. That is something we need to be really honing in on tier 2 of what additional supports we can put in place. We still do have our SST meetings. They focus on specific data points to steer towards what additional supports we may need. And then end of the year. Senior grades just closed, academic awards ceremony for all students are tomorrow. They're going on the cruise. They're going to Old Orchard. We have the 8th grade sub-up day. It is a busy schedule. Don't ask me about Friday. I don't know what we're doing. I'm watching the weather. Been watching it every night since Sunday.
Yep.
We do have field day, which I'm really excited about, but graduation is 6 o'clock. There's already so many plans, like looking forward to next year. I think as Sim and I have had 2 years together at the high school, getting the groove. We're really fortunate to have the staff we have veteran teachers. We do have a few spots open, but really, we're really thankful for our retirees. I mean, they combine a lot of years' experience, Puhar and Ms. Hogue, and like all of those people that are just instrumental in this day career. We keep saying, you want to sub? Like, we offer that. So they're exceptional. The retirees, we will deeply miss them because they come with such a wealth of knowledge. It's just good for our kids.
cool. Any questions for Tina? I like the goals that you picked, the ones that you're adding for the building. They mirror some of the stuff that we talked about. I had our retreat this weekend, so like without even looking at what we were doing, like we talked a bit about wellness and how we we want to try what can we do to help student wellness, particularly the mental health of our students and things like that. But no, they look great. So
and that was actually a request out of our. So we have meetings, we have PLC meetings, and that actually came from the staff wanting more professional learning around supporting students. Mental health. So, how to support, a student with trauma in the classroom, like that all came from them. So we heard that and we recognize that.
And that will be really helpful, and it will play in really nicely with the conversations that you'll have with Hillary, especially in regards to the trauma-informed program that they have, which we have sent some staff to.
So we did send 2 staff, and I didn't even know. So Marsha Littlefield and Jen Fitz both went to a training.
Yeah.
And then I messaged, they were like, we want more to learn about ACEs and all that. And then I emailed Hillary, and she goes, your staff went, so now you have more free training.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
yeah,
thank you.
unlock
Right, exactly, because it'll have a whole year's worth of support.
We're presenting our YRBS data already at our September 5th staff meeting, so that's already been in place.
So that'd be great.
They're great. That's a great community collaboration.
All right. Cool. Anything else? Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for everything this year. It's been a lot of fun. And as my daughter graduates, she's had a lot of fun with you here as a principal. So thank you very much. All right, Craig.
On the tech front,
Take it away.
probably not as riveting as the other presentation.
How's the behavior?
You don't have a triangle.
Yeah, what's your
I have something more amorphous, like, sorry, I got allergies pretty bad.
That's bad pollen right now.
Yeah. Artificial intelligence is, it's going to permeate everything we do next year. It's already embedded in a lot of things we do. So I didn't really want to leave today without at least mention, it's going to do great things for us, and it's going to be a threat in a lot of different ways too. When you talk about certain trends and stuff like that going on, I use a lot of software to monitor a lot of the mental health trends that seem to occur. Toxic behaviors, and I let the principals know pretty quickly, and they deal with those, and that's a great plus, as well as other little things that these pieces of software do. But you know, you've got false positives, which I get emails for what I get that for, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, all the way to how IEPs and other certain reports might be done as well. But I do want to talk about, as we go into working with artificial intelligence, it's kind of not a thing and it's not a piece of software. So I can see kind of coming, well, let's use this for artificial intelligence and let's use this to help with these particular products. I think one of the best ways to go about it is, and I said it on a webinar the other day and it made really good sense to me, is taking an evaluation using a maturity model to assess our preparedness for using AI. And I want to distinguish something too. The AI we're really kind of talking about, for the most part, again, I'm no expert here, but generally speaking, is generative AI.
Yeah.
Which basically the best way to talk about that is, we're all pretty familiar with doing search terms. We sit down and say, write my history paper for me on this, and that's our generative. The AI that's going to be more dangerous and Terminator 2 type stuff is that autonomous AI,
Yes.
which is also coming into. So how they end up clashing in our education world is going to be interesting. I mean, I keep saying to myself, and I think I told Amanda or somebody, that I can't wait to see what, by Christmas, how we've dealt with certain AI situations, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
An imminent kind of AI situation we might be dealing with right off is when we go with the cameras. We have surveillance cameras this year for the high school. We're going to have to decide to turn on the AI component of that or not, because there's facial recognition and all kinds of different things. I don't know if we're ready for yet in a school setting. So that's just one little obstacle as we go forward on the autonomous side of things. Then, of course, on the generative side, it'll be dealing with kids writing papers and how do we detect that and trace that and teach and learn with that as it improves writing and whatever. Google has over 500 to 1,000 AI tools they've already implemented in.
Yeah.
And that's going to get a little crazy too, and how we embrace that or not. I know I've heard some schools, maybe it's colleges, that are starting to implement. Does everybody remember the blue books? You know, they give you a piece of paper and you start writing in those before they even give you writing assignments. So, you know, I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm bringing up today. And maybe by fall, we'll have a little bit more of a discussion and begin to look at maturity models on deciding our preparedness or readiness for AI. So we can really make the distinction between, it's not a thing or a piece of software that we need. It's kind of this autonomous back-end thing that's going to support teaching and learning, I think, in a really good way. But there's going to be some hazards that nobody can even fathom by now.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of potential, but you got to be careful, so, for sure. All right, anything else? All right, any questions, Greg? No, thank you. I do know that, like, on some things for like the generative AI, they make things now that teachers can plug a kid's paper in and see, was this generated by AI?
Yeah, but
they are
not
still
all good.
not- they're not all good,
They're
no.
not good. Turn
Like-
it in, any of those things.
Nope.
There's so many things. Sometimes it'll pop off if you've used Grammarly
Wow.
or any of the
it's
really
probably
common
Basic
things.
ones,
It's really tough.
So-
The biggest thing is
Yeah.
use Google Docs so that you can show your revision history,
There
or
you go.
use Word and turn on track changes.
There you go.
That's where you can show that you actually put in the work
And that might
and
be
the
really
effort.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of places are
That's good
are
to know.
moving to now.
Yeah.
And I've compiled a list, I probably share it with principals before we send it out, that lists a lot of everything we kind of just talked
Yeah.
about, and maybe embracing some of that stuff and how we might want to pick it apart and decide how we might use it. And I know it will be influenced by federal, state
Right.
policies as they come down as well.
Yeah.
Khan Academy's embracing Khan Ego.
Yeah.
That'll be huge here next year, guaranteed, in schools, I would assume.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure teachers are prepared through PD, and have professional development for them to help them in the classroom with stuff like that generative AI, to learn things like, have the kids turn on tracking changes and stuff like that, so.
And utilizing large language models, which is really what ChatGPT and a lot of that open source stuff is built on, it's not all bad.
No.
They're, being able to utilize large language models for purposes of being able to summarize or audit or any of those sort of things are good skills and good knowledge for our students and our staff to have. It's just it's the flip side of it, which is the ethics and morality and transparency parts of utilizing those tools.
Those are great points, that ethics piece,
Yeah.
As well as this enhancement of digital literacy
Yeah.
on steroids now.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right, thanks, Greg. Okay, back to all our other fun stuff. I didn't miss anyone else. Oh, curriculum is in your packet.
Yeah.
Anything particular?
Nope.
All right. I mean, you can read it there, but you just shared about how WIN block will be a CES and EVS for next year. Grants, a whole bunch of them are being utilized to support staff for professional development, student engagement, assessment of student progress, building updates. Curriculum review cycle continues with English language arts and social studies K through 12 curriculum groups looking at the programs, etc. Title I tutoring is wrapping with student gains in math at CES and IRS, as documented. May early release day had some stuff, scope and sequence work by departments at IRS and at the high school with some great horizontal alignment discussions. Elementary teachers attended training on utilizing the Discover Education platform, and then did some MVRSD assessments as we just saw, using data collected, or that was that part, but using data collected on students in ELA, math, and science for grades K through 11. They assess at lower levels with AIMSweb, with NIWI and all that, and HSAS. And then at the high school, they took NIWI in the fall and spring, and the science test as well as SATs. So that's curriculum. All right. Up next on our agenda, we have the request for the superintendent authority to hire during the summer when we are not meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Have fun with the end of the school year.
That's right. Have a blast. All right, so as in your packet here, there's a letter requesting superintendent authority to hire. I am requesting the board grant me the authority to hire New Hampshire certified budgeted positions from June 12th through the summer months. In competing for highly qualified candidates, it is most important to have a selected candidate sign a contract ASAP. Then she will bring that back to us at the next board meeting. Normally the process is that, she would interview people, you'd say, that's great, we're gonna wait for board approval. You bring it to us, we say, okay, yes, these people are great, and then you say, congratulations, the school board has authorized your contract, yada, yada. This allows Amanda to just say, we're hiring you, you're set, I'm gonna bring you to the board, and that's that. And we're basically trusting Amanda on these hires, which is always a good thing. Always a good thing. So I'll entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion that we approve the superintendent authority to hire during the summer months as presented.
Okay,
I'll second.
and Kathleen second. Any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of superintendent authority to hire for the summer, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Food service bids. So you see in your packet, you have our current projections for costs and such, and then the Fresh Picks and Abbey Food Service. So you see Fresh Picks down there, food cost, labor cost, your food service director cost, paper and cleaning supplies, other expenses as well, admin and management fee, etc., etc. All right, the recommendation is to award the bid to Fresh Picks Cafe, who is our current supplier. So entertain a motion on that, and then we can discuss.
And I'll entertain a motion as well. I'll entertain a motion at this point in awarding the food service bid to Fresh Picks Cafe for the point of conversation.
Okay.
Second.
All right, second conversation. All right, for discussion on this, I'm just going to go from high level here. The reason and then Deb, you can jump in and speak specifics if you want. But the Fresh Picks Cafe, we're used to them. They had a higher revenue cost, and they used the current meal pricing. Abbey had a lower revenue cost, and they used a 10-cent higher price. Abbey overstated how much commodities, which is like stuff that we have in the buildings, right? Or like the food.
It's the free food that we get.
Okay, they overstated how much we get by 14,000, so I'm not sure where they got that. Fresh Picks, the benefit costs are lower, and Abbey's group would reduce the part-time employees' hours, which is how they get a lower labor cost. So we would have fewer people in the building for fewer amount of time. Food service director is less money there. Abbey did not put any money in for their supplies, like their paper products, so I don't know where they think they're gonna get those. Then, as you can see, it is a higher admin fee for Fresh Picks, but given the savings overall, or given the quality overall, and the reality, the realistic budget, I think, I tend to agree with Fresh Picks. Deb, you want to add?
I don't know why Abbey Group's lunch meal counts were so much lower. They had our actual numbers.
Yeah, we gave it to them.
Right, we gave them the actual numbers. So that was confusing. The commodities were overstated, so I added those back in to the food costs.
Okay.
Their actual bid was a loss of 18,000 before I added that 15 back in. So, yeah, I really don't understand no paper and cleaning supplies and really very low other expenses. There are other expenses. We get a monthly statement from Fresh Picks and it itemizes all their other costs. The other thing I don't understand, so Fresh Picks has $6,000 in their other expenses for software, and Abbey Group didn't have anything for software. And I know they have to use software.
Yeah.
Because they have to use Titan for nutritional value.
Yeah.
So I know they have to use that.
I also want to note that it was important to us as we looked through these that we take care of the people that work here. We didn't want to see hours cut. We wanted to make sure wages were good. These are our people, these are our parents, part of our community. So I did want to make note that that was part of what factored into our recommendation.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag for me, like cutting hours of part-time employees like that doesn't make any sense for us, 'cause we need them.
So what happens with the requirements from the New Hampshire Bureau of Nutrition is that me, Michelle, and Amanda all went through all the criteria. There's a whole list, and we have to assign them certain points.
Yeah.
So we all did that, and that will go to the state with the decision for the bid. So I think we all came out on the same page,
Okay.
for obvious reasons.
Any other questions? All right.
I think it's really just being able to clearly articulate the reason why we're going with the bid that's higher.
Yeah.
I think that there's been a good explanation of.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really higher, it's less of a loss.
Yeah.
There you go.
True.
But even then, even that doesn't allow any paper supplies. And so, like, are they gonna grab our paper? Like, are they just gonna take, you know what I mean? Like, what are they expecting? And that's gonna be a cost that's not reflected in here.
And when we walked through all the schools with both companies, Michelle and I, and, they asked lots of questions and we answered all their questions. I don't know why they would think that. I mean, they have Fresh Picks bid from last time we went out to bid.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they know how, it's pretty
Right.
transparent.
You know what we're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on food service bid?
And Fresh Picks is still the contracted food service provider for Lebanon and other local ones, or have they moved away?
They're still Lebanon.
Yeah.
Lebanon just resigned their contract
Okay.
this year.
They what?
Yeah.
They renewed their contract with us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just this year.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor to approve the food service bid to Fresh Picks Cafe signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right, up next on the topic of lunch, we have lunch price comparisons. And what I learned in finance facilities is that the state gets mad if you don't raise the rates, right? Like, they were like, what are you doing not raising the rates when we didn't do it last year? So you can see here some comparison numbers. What we are compared to Claremont, Newport, Lebanon, and Keene, and for breakfast as well. And so your recommendation, Deb, was to raise lunch prices across the raise adult prices for lunch to $5.
Yes.
Okay, and adult price for breakfast to $3.50.
Yes.
Okay. Adult. And then go ahead.
Yeah. Could I go through this?
Oh, do you have one?
Just
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just so you understand this,
Oh.
Michelle did a spreadsheet.
Yeah, go for it.
up, which is really good.
Oh, okay, it's on the next thing in your packet, the price lunch equity tool. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
these were the results of it. So if you look at the 23-24, which is the year we're in, target price for last year is $290 based on that unrounded price requirement for 23-24. So that shows on the top. Then Michelle did these other scenarios with different amount increases in them, but the weighted average price requirement for school year 24-25 is actually $320.
Danielle, it's stable.
Exactly.
Oh, there you go. Gotcha.
So it's the very
I'm
last
like-
page. I had to follow
Yeah.
along with that, so it's the very last page.
Thank you.
Right, so what we're recommending for the 25-cent increase gets us to the $2.90, which was the recommended amount for the year we're in. So the price lunch equity tool is recommending $3.20 for an average lunch price for next year. But I wouldn't want to increase it that amount. I did want to tell you that, so the National School Lunch Program application includes this PLE tool, and there are options, but the superintendent has to sign certifying. She's always done signing, certifying. I do hereby attest that the aforementioned SAU and all schools under its jurisdiction operating the National School Lunch Program, authorized under blah, 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 are in compliance with the PLE requirements in effect for school year 24-25. You do have some options. So option 1 is that, yes, we've made all the adjustments and we're in compliance.
Yep.
But she can also sign option 3,
Which is the quarter.
says that the SAU elected to split any required change in the weighted average price between a small increase in meal prices and covering the balance with non-federal funds. A transfer of funds to cover the commitment will be completed at the end of the school year, which is fine, and that's kind of what we've done
Yeah.
anyway, because we can't have a negative fund balance.
Right.
But I think, I mean, that's fine. The only thing is that the budget committee and the voters did not approve, not that it's a big deal, because they're just approving the bottom line, really, but the budget committee did not approve a transfer to food service. But it is something that I had to do last year, because they wouldn't let me use the fund balance,
Right.
of which we had $100,000.
Right.
So this year, I've asked to pay for 1 month out of that, so we'll be fine for this year.
Oh.
And we could do that again another year. So anyway, those are the options, but I do think that an increase, just looking at these other districts, Claremont and Newport, as you know, are not
Yeah.
very rich districts either. And they're just a lot higher than we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue, Tim.
No, I was just, okay, no, that's good. So that helps. So she gave, as you see here, she gives us 3 different options. We can either do a 10-cent increase per school for lunches and breakfasts, or a 20-cent. Was that for both breakfast and lunches, or just for lunches? When you said 10-cent?
I was just 10 cents only for breakfast. The breakfast isn't really a requirement of the school, which is kind of weird.
That's weird, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so raising the price for lunches by 10 cents, 20 cents, or 25 cents. And that would basically, so right now, at the elementary schools, we're $2.50, and at the middle and high school, we're $2.75 for lunch. So, what's people's pleasure? And you can see here the difference in revenue, how much more we gain in revenue to offset the losses as well.
And you would multiply that by 10, so.
Yeah.
Assuming, that would cover a lot of the deficit.
Yeah.
I think I understand, but I'm not really clear. Your recommendation is to go to the 290, is that correct?
Yes, just because the PLE tool says
Right,
that.
as you
If
state
the
here.
board wanted to do 20 cents, that would still keep them all under $3.
Yeah.
It's,
Do we have to break it down by the 20 cents or the 10 cents? Is that required, or can we just say that we want to go with the 290? That's where I get
the
lost.
290 is the average. So what that tool does, it tells you what your average price should be. And because the elementary school lunches are a lot smaller than
Yes.
in New River and high school.
So would you go through here, Deb, and just tell us what you recommend for numbers on the front sheet? So I'm just asking, just to keep myself straight,
Right.
what you're recommending.
Right.
On this one.
So at the elementary, lunch prices for the elementary would be
$2.75.
$2.75, so go a quarter at the elementary,
middle
It's a
school.
quarter, all of them, right?
for a quarter for all of them?
So then middle school and high school would be
$3.
$3,
Okay,
and adult would be
5.
Five.
That would be $5,
$5,
and then $3.50 for breakfast for adult.
$3.50 for breakfast for adult.
Yeah.
$1.45 for the elementaries for breakfast.
Yep.
And then, that's up, $1.60.
And then,
145.
yeah, so then
170.
170 for
Okay.
breakfast at the high school.
Thank you, that's just a little more clear to me.
Yeah.
So those are what
that
you're
helps.
recommending?
Right, so this is in reverse order.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So those are the number of paid lunches, so they tell you what date you have to take those as of October 1st or
Gotcha.
something. Maybe
All right.
not October, but.
I think those are pretty reasonable asks
Yeah.
for increases. We have an increase for how many years?
2 years, 3
I
years?
don't remember the last time.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been a while.
All right, so yeah, we can, so, all right, so, wait, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the 24, 25 food prices, as noted, making adult lunches $5, adult breakfast is $3.50, and increasing student lunches by 25 cents each at each school, and student breakfast for 10 cents each per
Good.
school.
I'll second.
And Kathleen second. All right, any further discussion on that?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Call it ignorance on my behalf. Where you're changing the pricing, does it change the qualifications for parents? You know, some parents are like,
Good
that's
question.
a quarter, that's a lot of money, I've got 3 kids.
Yeah,
Does that change the qualifications when they're applying for the reduced lunches or anything of that nature?
Does not.
It does not, okay.
No. So the reduced breakfast, we don't charge anything for. The reduced lunch is 40 cents. What I found this year when I've looked at families that have a large negative balance is that they were direct cert, which means they were SNAP or qualified somehow with the state. And then COVID hit, everybody was free. And then after that, they just haven't filled out an application. So there are 3 or 4 families that make up a lot of
With that.
that negative balance. And I know Cynthia has been to them, but I think we have to, not force them, but we have to make sure they fill out the application because they may still be free. But
Right.
I don't believe that the federal guidelines have increased the wage levels.
I thought they just changed for this upcoming school year.
I hope they did. I think
Because that
will make a
that
big
was part of the
difference.
niche, is that some of our families, because of the rate of inflation, was, some of our families she made comments, they did not, and it was,
Right.
we want them to be
Right.
okay. So she did try.
Right, because people are making more, but they hadn't
Right,
increased
right.
the eligibility.
When your electric
level.
bill's $300 a month.
yeah, yeah,
so
everything's shooting
I
up in
thought
price.
that it was going, I thought I read somewhere, I'm hoping.
Well, if they do, we should make a big deal to tell everybody, like, hey, don't
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
Yeah.
You might be eligible, you don't even
No.
know, so.
I spam them, and
Right.
Martha does her
Yeah,
share too,
totally.
because we know how important it is. Like, and if you get them early on in the year, then you don't end up with a negative balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm the certifying official, so
Yeah.
I see every application,
Yeah.
and I've seen all the ones that just missed.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully those ones that just missed next year will. be good.
So hopefully that will take care of it
Yeah, I
next
hope
year.
so too.
All right, any further discussion on school lunch prices? We have a motion on the floor to raise, all right, so I'll call the motion. We have a motion to raise adult lunch to $5, adult breakfast to $3.50, go up by a quarter in each school for lunch and by 10 cents for each school for breakfast. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. Coming up next, we have permission to fundraise. Thank you for all that work, Deb. Thank you for all that information.
Thank Michelle too.
Oh, yes, thank you, Michelle. All right, fundraise for New York City trip in November of this year. For approval for that. Who is presenting? Is that for you?
Yeah, so one of the things that's really come out of my 2 years here at the high school was the opportunities to take kids off campus and show them places they've never been. To get to go to Washington DC with students, the Galapagos, these experiences has just been so enlightening and just so enjoyable, and what they come away with has just been incredible. So in meeting with Mr. Chalker, Students used to go to New York City under FCS, and in meeting Mr. Chalker, we started to bounce around the idea, and I just ran with it. So I was able to go when I graduated high school. That was our student class trip, and those benefits that I remember, I really like to bring for our students. So this would be a communities field trip in November, the 8th through the 11th, Friday through Monday, so they'd only miss one day of school because Monday is Veterans Day. On initial student survey interest, I sent out to just current juniors, sophomores and freshmen, and I had 75 students respond with, I'm interested in attending. There was really, they really are interested, and this is some place that they've heard about. We do have the opportunity for students to go to Washington, D.C. In the spring, and the music trip, they're going to Nashville, which is another amazing opportunity for students. And I spoke to the travel company. I spoke to an initial travel company who wanted to fly us. I'm
To
like,
New York?
I did enough airports for Galapagos. I am not prepared to do that with students again. So I spoke to World Strides today. They're putting together a price. Their base package is 35 students. I'm comfortable with 35 students. It's a great, supervisory number. We have certain destinations in mind. Clearly, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty. Mr. Chalker, based on some of the humanities stuff, really has his own set of choices. For instance, the Tenement Museum. And as we talk about those Museum of Modern Art, clearly 9/11 Memorial and Museum. And on my bucket list is Lion King on Broadway. So I already told Sam that I'm going.
Whether they are or not.
We tried rock, paper, scissors. Senior class trip, Sim's going. There was not much rock. I'll run the building.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great opportunity for our students. I know they're leaving, so much of this is going to come to me. I don't mind doing the work for it. I do really think that our students can really benefit from this. They're putting together, greater plans of what that could. These are sort of the start of this. The Times Square. There's all these other opportunities. There's plenty of conversation amongst the New York people in my hallway about pizza and places to go. So, but I do think, Mr. Chalker was on board. This was really his lead, and the History Department, Social Studies has really chimed in of how we can benefit our kids. So I'm asking for permission to fundraise. I don't have a cost yet per student, but I would like to get going on this over the summer to start to do that for our kids.
Cool.
This was 2 nights?
No, it's a total of 4 days. So it ends up being Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and we come back on Monday. So
Cool. All right, I'll entertain a motion for that.
Make a motion that we approve the New York City trip for November of 2024 so that they can continue with planning and fundraising.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on that? I love this idea. I'm glad you're bringing this back. I think any chance we can get our kids out into the world to see things is an awesome idea. So glad to see that. And cross-pollinating different disciplines is really cool too.
Interdisciplinary. This is definitely interdisciplinary.
Very cool.
We're talking in the hallway. It's so exciting to hear those departments, even just talking about unifying for something like this. So it's pretty exciting.
This is one of those things that, knowing that there are some arts integrations potentially, is it something that we could think about utilizing, experiencing the arts for? And I say that with the caveat of, I would love for them, I know that we've specifically talked about some art for some kids versus bringing more in, but I'm thinking about if there was a way to have this group come back and share that experience. What if as part of, integrated as part of the trip, everyone took photographs and then there was a photo show, like a gallery show.
So Craig and I, one thing we really learned in the Galapagos was how valuable those photos are. So I think that's an amazing idea to come back and do a photo gallery of the trip and share that out because there's so much to see and so powerful. When I went with students to DC, it's so incredibly powerful. And I have amazing pictures. So, even modern iPhones, their quality is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, we do have cameras available. Yearbook had some donation to cameras, so we do have those things available. So I think that's really a fair project at the end of it to showcase, you know, getting them printed and whatnot. But I think that's a phenomenal idea because then you bring it back to the school and you share it out. A photo gallery and the, you know,
Yeah.
sharing it, and even sharing that with middle school.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like the idea of kind of the train the trainer sort of thing,
Yeah.
where you're not, you know, you're kind of planting the seed, and then if it is something that's successful, then, you know, you get people excited about, you know, getting older next year and trying it out as well.
Yeah, I mean, just my initial conversation with students, I just walked in, you know, they were having a junior class meeting and I shared it and they were like, tell me we want to go. And I'm like, okay, just time out. You don't even know what you agreed to yet. And I'm like, I'm going. And they're like, okay, but it's okay. But it was, I absolutely agree. Like, that's a great way to showcase it to the whole school.
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely will take that back. Given the sites we're going to see,
Right.
Yeah.
they're so powerful.
Maybe you can use like the experience of the arch funds to offset the cost of like going to the show.
Yeah.
Because then that, you know, because that's a huge
That's
chunk
a
of
good idea.
cost.
Or
Then
go to
that-
MoMA.
or the MoMA or something like that, you know.
It's
that
got to be
makes it a
Lion
lot
King,
more-
though, I'm pretty particular.
Yeah.
I've already told the trip company that.
We have used that for specific tickets, and I think
Yeah.
that's a good
That-
idea.
that way it
I
offsets
like
that.
that compromise,
Yeah.
rather than just saying, we're gonna buy the coach bus.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all, thanks.
No, I,
But it offsets
Yeah.
a little price, gives them something unique
Yeah.
about going to
Yeah,
New York
I
and getting
know.
them some
Right.
art. They might. This is also. It's not necessarily an artsy group that might be going. You know?
Right.
So
but that's the cool part,
that's the
though.
cool part about it. Exactly.
Like you're
exactly.
showcasing everything to students, and like when I took the students to DC, they might not have been interested in some of the museums, but it didn't matter. Like they
Yeah.
got to see something different and new. So I think that's a great idea of getting all the photo,
Yeah.
you know, photo collage,
Yeah, photos
photo
for sure.
gallery.
That's it's low bar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
if there's one thing we know about kids now, I mean everyone now, but especially younger folks, they're constantly documenting the world
Yeah.
around them.
Yeah.
So why not try to incorporate that into storytelling sessions of their own?
Yeah. Anytime.
What I find is neat about the photos is my nephew went to Boston and he took a picture of a street performer. And then a couple years later, my daughter went to Boston, the same area. Now, the teachers never focused on, per se, the street performer, but both children captured the street performer. Now, an adult might not think much of
Right.
that street performer. So to see where the children, and like you said, to gather the different
Well,
interests.
My lens of going to the Galapagos was different than the student's lens.
Right.
You know, I see, you know, and let's be honest, like, Marty swimming down deep was not something I could do, but he captured a whole new viewpoint by doing that. So that's phenomenal. And you do get the student's perspective. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that's a requirement that's good.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of having them give a presentation back to everybody and like showing, and then you're selling it. You're
Yeah.
selling the trip for future, any of our trips should
And
be
maybe
good.
you even, you know, maybe there's something like, you know, you could have a best of show kind of thing and have kind of an internal sort of.
Do you know how
comp-
competitive the students are here at Mass?
Yeah.
I do, which is why I meant that. But then that could be part of the art show at the end of the year.
Yeah, even better.
You know, again, think about ways
Yeah,
to
no, I love that.
kind of connect
Great.
the dots.
Thank you very much.
Arts and culture.
That's right. Anything else from anybody? All right, all those in favor of giving permission to fundraise for the New York City trip in November of this year, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Awesome. Have fun, and I'm sure in the fall we'll get like a detailed list of what you're all doing.
Yeah, so she's gonna actually have that to me by Friday.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
Cool.
she had to get bus votes, so.
All right, yeah. Well,
They still
we'll
think
look
I'm
at it in
weird.
July,
Why are you
so.
flying? No, I'm not flying with kids.
No, you know how many of those Cape Air planes you're gonna have to take? You'll
And the
have to
whole
pack like
experience,
5 of
well-
those planes.
Skip, they were talking about us getting on trains. I'm like,
That wouldn't be that bad.
what?
Trains? That wouldn't be that bad.
With teenagers?
Amtrak's not bad.
Amtrak's not that bad.
I mean, they have Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and they're fairly comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's go
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Siberia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go on that
Almost.
one. You're all set.
All right, thanks, Tina. Okay, up next we have local critical shortage list. You have in your packet a list as determined from Murphy Instructional Support Improvement, talking about the local critical staffing shortage and how difficult it is to find certified candidates for these positions. You see listed Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Principal, Elementary Educator, Music, Life Sciences, and Comprehensive Family and Consumer Science. This allows us to hire outside of the certification area. However, it would be going through. Amanda, do you want to go ahead and explain this process a little more? Since you're the expert.
So if somebody comes to us and they do not have a certification in a certain area, but have other criteria, or we feel we know them as say a teacher in a different area, like somebody maybe wanted to be a librarian here at the high school and had been a successful science teacher and was looking to make that jump but hadn't received the certification yet, and the committee found them to be the best candidate, we're allowed to take those people and place them on an alternative certification plan. I'm only allowed to do that with a statement of eligibility from the state. So the state asks school districts every year, where are you having a hard time finding teachers? And that becomes the critical shortage list. So even though we have filled that out, we still have areas that are maybe not listed. So other parts of the state maybe are not having a hard time finding a principal,
right,
but because of our location, we are. So there's a part of RSA 18939A, which Nancy cites for you at the bottom of that letter, that allows me to ask you as a school board to declare a local critical shortage list. So what I've done is look at some of the positions that we are unable to fill because we have not had either candidates that we feel would be a good fit here, even though they are certified, or we just have had no certified candidates apply. So these positions that you see before you listed in the bullets are not part of the statewide critical shortage list, but are part of where we as a district, as a local area, are having a difficult time finding certified candidates. So I do need a motion from you and approval of this to go to the state so that we can then hire people and put them on a pathway to complete the certification in these areas.
A little job training. So we educate adults too. How about that?
We sure do.
All right. So entertain a motion on that.
I think we're just going to approve the designation of local critical staffing shortage for the positions of Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, Principal, Elementary Educator, Music, Life Sciences, and grades 7 through 12, and Comprehensive Family and Consumer Science.
Okay.
Second.
And Kathleen seconds. Any further discussion on that? All right. All those in favor of the local critical shortage list approval, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. That's all set.
Thank you.
Let me know. Do I need to sign that too? Probably.
I think Nancy just sends it in, but it has to be documented in the minutes.
Right. So, okay. Cool. All right. Well, let me know if I need to go over there and sign anything. Up next, we have student and staff laptop bids. You see in your packet, you have the student. One document is student, and one document is staff. Take it away, Craig.
And the winner is, so usually every year with our Chromebooks at least, we choose Trafera. Trafera has been good to us with a one-stop shop solution. And the reason why we chose them this year, even though they were a little higher, was because of the white glove solution they offer us. Generally speaking, that's you open the box and you give them out. It takes care of login serial numbers, MAC addresses, using any differences we would want to see with them, subgroups and different OUs. Anyway, they come tailor-made, that's germane to our district, and we can hand them out. And that comes with a little bit of a cost with that as well. So that's usually why. And plus, these are the same people we use for our repairs.
Yeah.
So that whole segue is really easy too. So this is kind of a little, a space for us to use a lot of different services. So that's why we choose Trafera Chromebooks.
Quick question: if you were to go,
Trafera,
let's say you did Amazon, which is $29, like $6,000 less, $6,400 less, then how much work would you have to do to get them to that level?
Right.
It's way more than $6,500 worth of work.
Right, and we couldn't keep up with that. That would really hamper, and I hate to say it this way, but it's usually falls, the data piece would fall into Kamla's lap with a lot of that. So this makes it pretty easy to do. Plus with everything else we have going on in the summer. And just the service and response of them too. You know, if we went with an Amazon product, we'd have to still go find these people to use to help service us.
Yeah.
At what cost, I don't know. But I don't think it wouldn't be as affordable as this solution.
No. All right. And then staff ones. You want to talk about those?
Yeah, and so with staff, what I wanted to try this year was, and I met with them a few weeks ago for another particular situation, was I wanted to choose local, and they did a resell of this company, Systems Plus. They sold to new owners, and I just happened to be in the transition of that. And I think given them the opportunity to help us with this and others, it also comes down to they're a full service shop for the product we're going to buy.
Nice.
So, you know, it's 20 minutes down the road. Once I found it, at first I didn't know where it was. But now I know where it is. So I kind of like that connection as well. To be able to say, okay, we get 2 or 3 that are acting funny, bring them there, drop them off. They put them in a little cart, so we've already brought a device there.
Good.
And I think awarding to a local company would be a good idea.
Yeah. Cool. And they're pretty competitive with the bid too, so that's nice to see.
Yeah, and they do offer, the other 2 didn't, they do offer, if we wanted to go down any kind of fuller services, kind of like what we do with White Glove, if we even wanted to go that route with those, but we're not really there yet with laptop devices.
Right.
But they do offer other packages with their purchase as well.
But that's just staff, so there's a lot less staff than
Yes,
students.
yes, a lot less to manage.
All right. Any questions for Craig on these? And my only question, like on Systems Plus, I think that's great having a local company and just bouncing all these ideas that we've had. The opportunity to connect with them for like an ELO for a kid who's interested in building. Now you've established that connection, and
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Pays dividends.
Yeah.
All right. I entertain a motion for these bids.
Make a motion that we approve the student Chromebook 100 device bid to Trafara in the amount of $36,000 as noted.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Kathleen, second. All right, for the student Chromebooks, any further discussion on those? All right, all those in favor of approving Trafara as the vendor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right, and then staff. Someone like to make a motion? Oh, that's okay. You can
yes.
talk.
I was just looking at my leaderboard. Sorry, it's New Hampshire Gives Day.
Is it? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I'll give you an update. Make a motion that we approve the bid for 16 staff laptops, award that to Systems Plus in the amount of $23,984.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of approving the bid for staff laptops to Systems Plus, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All righty. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Have fun with that. All right, one policy on here, and then a bunch of rescinding the policies that are accompanying it. So,
Make a motion that we approve policy IJL, library materials selection and adoption for second reading.
Okay.
Second.
And Kathleen seconds. There was no changes since our last meeting, correct?
You are correct.
All right, any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of adopting, or second reading and adoption of policy IJL, library material selection and adoption, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions. All right, that is our new policy. Now, some rescissions.
Make a motion that we rescind the following policies. IJMC, School Library and Media Program. IJMCA, Library Bill of Rights. IJMCB, School Library Bill of Rights for School Library Media Center Programs. Policy IJMCC, Freedom to Read Statement. IJMCD, Library Materials Selection and Adoption. IJMC, oh wait, that's the same one. IJMCE, library weeding and discard of materials policy, IJMCF, gifts to the library/media center, IJMCG, library and school copyright policy, IJMCH, school library safety policy, and IJMCI, library media center preview policy.
All right. Give a second.
Second.
All right, make seconds. All those in favor of rescinding policies IJMC and IJMC-A through IJMC-I, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. You see up here, agenda items for next meeting, and I was actually just looking at the calendar because our next meeting will not be on the 25th. Amanda will be gone at the Superintendent's Conference, you said?
Yes. Yep.
So we will take that week off, and we will be back on July 9th. Correct. All right, so we have committee reports, school board goals, we'll approve those. Approving a back-to-school staff lunch. We will not have bus routes at that time, I can tell you that. As discussed in the retreat, we will get those at the next one, and hope maybe the one at the end of July, but it might be the one in first one in August. The new policy, coaches, and PD.
We should be okay on coaches too.
Okay.
I think you have a fair amount of
Big list
coaches
right
on
here.
your
Yeah.
list tonight.
Yeah. All right. So if you have anything else to add, reach out to me, myself, or Amanda. Public comment. Okay.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be a very quick meeting.
Yeah,
It'll be especially important though for hiring purposes.
Yeah.
Where I can't hire non-certified staff.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So.
All right. Public comment. Seeing as there's no public here, thank you for your comment.
The only thing I will say,
Yes.
I'll just remind everyone tonight,
Oh, yeah.
is New Hampshire Gives, started at 5 p.m. today, ends at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Several of the organizations that you saw that gave scholarships
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday participate in New Hampshire Gives, including Friends of Mascoma, Royals Athletic Boosters, Eastman Charitable Foundation, and others. So feel free to, if you have the inclination, make a donation. Even $5 helps because there are prizes for the number of donors.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
saw
right.
that Friends of Mascoma actually won $1,000 for most unique donors between 6 and 7 p.m. So they got $1,000. So that's,
Little kickers all over the place. That's cool.
Now, I'll encourage you to look at Royals Athletic Boosters because we will never meet one of those most unique donors things. And our entire goal is $1,500, which is 3 scholarships.
All right.
So,
Hey,
anyway,
that's good.
if you are so inclined. There's also a number of other places like Creative Vision, Listen,
Oh yeah.
Mascoma Valley Preserve.
Yeah. Historical reservations.
Yeah, there's Mascoma Community Health. Like, there's a number of them, so you could just look on it.
Oh yeah. Just tons of participants in our community.
Just put in the search, Mascoma.
All right. Up next, we have personnel resignations and nominations. Your green sheet as listed here. So I'll entertain a motion to accept these.
Make a motion to accept the nominations and notifications as presented.
All right. Do we have any discussion on these?
Second?
Who's second?
Second.
Oh, Kathleen. All right.
Yeah,
Now you did. All right.
now we'll entertain.
Now we'll talk about this.
Majority of them look like
Any
renewals.
questions on any of these at all? There's anything missing for the fall? I don't see.
You've got some new hires, I think.
Yeah, we'll have that in the next
on the
non-public.
In the next one.
Oh, in the next one. Okay.
Yeah, in the non-public session.
Do you know if that will include class advisor for 2027?
Yeah.
I don't believe we have one of those yet, no.
All
Okay.
right.
Because I know that that's something that we've talked about before as,
Not letting them
yeah.
lapse without a class advisor. So that'd be good to do. Yeah. Yeah. Just looking at some of these other ones, like okay, there must be a plan.
I believe that's a fairly new resignation, so there
Okay.
hasn't
Okay.
been much time
Okay.
to look, but the
Fair.
job position is posted.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Any further discussion on these? All right. All those in favor of approving the nominations, notifications, approving the nominations and the accepting the resignations as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All righty. That one's all set. Well, we do have non-public for purposes of hiring.
Make a motion that we go into non-public?
Second,
All right. Danielle?
Yes.
Tim? Yes. Kathleen?
yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
All right. We are in non-public.